everyone. My name is Matthew. I'm with the Canadian Museum for Human Rights, and I'm joined here today by our CEO, Isha Khan. Now, Isha, you've been with us for several months. In fact, I believe you just passed your first 100 days, so congratulations. We at the museum, the staff, have had a chance to meet you, to get to know you a little bit. We thought this would be a great chance for people at home to get to know you as well. We are an organization that tells human rights stories, so I have to ask, what do human rights mean to you?
Such a big question. I could talk about it forever. But when I think about human rights, so what it means to me is it's what ties us together, right? It's about our shared humanity, who we are as human beings, and that we're born with certain rights and we're born deserving of being treated with respect and dignity. I think that's what human rights are. And I kind of wish people thought about it that way a little more, because we'd see the value in having conversations like this.
As a human rights champion, both in your work as a lawyer and as an activist, what project or projects have you worked on that have left you feeling most optimistic and hopeful?
There's been so many projects, and I say that because I've really had the privilege of working closely with so many people to tell their stories alongside them, with them. But if I think about stories that, certain ones that really strike me, I had the privilege of working with a family whose daughter wasn't able to use the washroom in her school that aligned with her gender. And it was at a time where people weren't really talking about gender identity, or if they were, they didn't understand it and they didn't know what to do with it. That experience opened my mind to thinking about the other side, to thinking about how it's received when you're accused or allegations are made that you're not respecting one's rights. And we were able to really bring that together. It resulted in a policy that has been used by school divisions all over the country as a model for gender inclusion. I think about harassment in the workplace. It's 2020, and I've spent the last 10 years dealing with countless cases where a woman, a person because of their race, a man in their workplaces have been sexualized and harassed based on their sex or gender. And it's resulted in real individual examples of systemic change in those workplaces. So policies and education and training that I feel really good about. And then more recently, I was involved in a case that resulted in the inclusion of a third option on birth certificates in Manitoba, so that people of all genders can have an identity document that reflects who they are. Those are some of the big ones, but I have to say it's really hard to choose one.
So it's clear you have a passion for that work. What is it about the museum that brings out that passion and excitement to you?
It's just the immense potential for this museum to do work to raise awareness about human rights, to tell stories, to share stories, to educate the public about what we have in Canada, what we still need to do. That's why I came here, because I wanted to really look at human rights, come at it from a different angle. I'd come at it from an advocacy perspective in the justice system, and I wanted the opportunity for that creativity, I think, that the museum allows for.
The museum has had some challenges, and you come on in a challenging time. What challenges do you think the museum faces in the future, and how do you plan to address them?
So, the immediate challenge is very obviously that there is discrimination, racism, to some extent homophobia in our museum. So that's a challenge. Is it a challenge different than other organizations or institutions? Maybe not, but it's right there in front of me. And so it's a challenge that we need to address. And that's what we're doing. And that's what I've spent my first 100 days, is talking to anyone and everyone I can within these walls and in the communities around us, to say, what do I need to do? What do we need to do next? How are we going to do it? How are we going to do it together? Building value for this museum. So that's the immediate. When I think longer term in terms of challenges, though, We're a museum. And so the question is, who goes to museums? What do museums mean to people in Canada? What do they mean to new Canadians? What do they mean to people from different ethnocultural groups and various demographics? The museum needs to be relevant. And I think that's a challenge of making sure that we are telling stories that people care about, and we are bringing people along in their journey to explore the importance of human rights.
Maybe we'll just end on, what was the biggest surprise you've had so far since working at the museum?
There are a few secret elevators. No, I'm just joking. The biggest surprise to me, I think, really is the breadth of the work that the museum does. I, had visited the museum many times. I knew some of the work in terms of its programs, but I've really come to understand in my short time here that there are so many staff who are so dedicated to this work, who work very hard, who have immense expertise and talent that they bring to their jobs because they care about what the museum's, what we're doing. I wouldn't say it was a surprise, but it was certainly something that I didn't know, and something that heartens me when I think about the work that we have to do, and I think about rallying our staff together around a common purpose. That's what makes me excited about what the future holds.
Thank you very much for taking some time with us today. Thank you at home for joining us. We hope to see you in the museum very soon when it's safe to do so. Until then, you can continue to explore our stories online at humanrights.ca. Thank you again, and stay safe.